But at midnight, Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns to God, and the prisoners were listening to them. Acts 16, verse 25. In response to divine initiative, Paul and Silas had gone to Macedonia to preach the gospel. Their first stop was Philippi, and their first converts were Lydia and her household. Things seemed to be going pretty well, until one day, Paul commanded the spirit of divination to come out of a girl who had been, up until this moment, a professional fortune teller. Her employers brought about the arrest of Paul and Silas. A mob assembled, and the prisoners were beaten and placed under a maximum security prison in the local jail cell. An apparently promising evangelistic mission, begun under the explicit direction of God, had crashed. Other prisoners had died in those foul dungeons. Paul and Silas had no friends in Philippi except Lydia, and it was doubtful if her influence would bring about their release. Also, they had been beaten unmercifully, and stocks were uncomfortable. It might have seemed to them as if their mission had completely collapsed. But what was their reaction? A strange sound was heard at midnight. What were the words that echoed through the stone corridors of the prison? Prayer. What were the melodies that disturbed the other prisoners' restless sleep? Hymns. Nothing like this had ever been heard before in that prison. How could they do it? They didn't know that in a few moments an earthquake would shake open the doors to the prison. They didn't know that the harsh jailer would confess Christ that night. All they knew was that God had sent them to Philippi, that their lives were in His hands, and that they were ready to accept any experience that might have come to them as a result. Herein is the secret of happiness. People who really know that God is leading them are not subject to uncertainty, panic, and depression. Of course, there is false assurance, and that's another story in and of itself, but the experience of Paul and Silas teaches every Christian that confidence and happiness are possible even under the most distressing situations, when you know that you are being led by God and ultimately being taken care of by Him. And as always, think on these things.